Yeah.
Can I just say, I think that, because I can say it without any praise to myself, but the section, as it were, after you've drawn the horse, the section with Captain Nichols and the charges, I think is one of the most extraordinary bits of filmmaking I've ever seen. And there are a couple of very extraordinary things that Tom does in it, but it really, there's some amazing things, you know. We're very lucky to be around with a filmmaker as great as Stephen is, and when you watch it for the third or fourth time, you're slightly in wonder at the grace and beauty of each shot and the way this extraordinary 10 minutes of filmmaking it comes together. It's, I mean, I think all my only contribution is the word charge, so I don't have to worry. But it's an amazing thing to watch. He is a great genius, and it's very easy, you know, to sort of put things next to his work and say this is the way that Stephen works and what's the next Stephen film. But you are just watching someone who is as pitch perfect as the Beatles, you know, as extraordinary the things that he lays before us as what you get on one of their albums.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, our next clip is the charge. Not all the charge, not all 10 minutes, but a couple of minutes at least. And how's that for a seamless segue? Roll the clip, please. Thank you. Just a taster, just a small taster. Yeah. But how was that the shoot? That was all on a soundstage in Luton, wasn't it? Or was it actually shot?
That was honestly one of the most exciting days of my entire life. Right. That day was the day...
This is a man who's kissed Ken Branagh.
Not just
repeatedly.
with or without tongues, because that's the
it was incredible. We were lined up in the wheat field, which had actually been sort of transported from St Marshes onto the Duke of Wellington's estate, which is doubling as northern France. And I arrived at 7 o'clock in the morning, dressed in all my buckles and belts and whistles, ready to go. And they were rehearsing it with the stunt riders. And the first thing that happened, Stephen, that inimitable silhouette, the baseball cap, the beard, the barber, calls me and said, "Tom, come on, look at the shot." Yeah. And he shows me this thing that of essentially there was a stunt rider standing in for me, chasing a tracking vehicle, a 4x4 car, with a camera crane and the camera sort of hanging out the back of it, which is remote controlled, and 120 horses charging at 40 miles an hour across 400 meters of open field to an immaculately recreated German camp with 300 extras running away, and I was having, the stunt rider was having to stay within 10 feet of the lens, no further forward because he'd been out of focus, no further back, out of focus. And he said, "You good to do this, Tom?" I said, "Yes, sir," and got on this horse, and I could feel, horses are so sensitive, they can feel everything you're feeling. If they can sense fear, they can sense confidence, they can sense calm and peace, they can sense arrogance. The moment you have airs and graces, you're off. And I remember trying to my Joey was like a Ferrari. He was so sensitive. The moment you put your foot on the accelerator, it was just like, whoa. And he was pawing the ground, and, just like, he was ready to go. And I was like, whoa, boy, whoa, just take it easy. And the crew needed to take their time for focus marks and lights. Final things needed to be checked. And then eventually I heard this roll sound. I thought, my God, here we go. And I could see like 500-600 yards ahead of me was the end of where I was going to be. There were 30 horses fanning out to my left, another 30 behind me, 30 behind them. You could hear the swords and the metal clinking against the sides of the bridles and the saddles, and all of these horses doing this, and stunt riders going whoa, whoa, and just the noise of it. And I thought, this is about as real as it gets. Roll sound, camera speed, sound speed, camera set, and then on the bullhorn, Steven Spielberg, my childhood hero. Okay, Tom, action. And calling out the orders, which you see Benedict give in the film. And finally, once we're at full canter, raising my sword and screaming charge at the top of my lungs. And then the first thing I remember, if I remember anything, is the noise. Yeah. The noise of the hooves and the noise of 120 stuntmen screaming charge at the top of their lungs. And the wind in my face, and the feeling of essentially the miracle of human flight, letting this living, breathing Ferrari run, and feeling how excited the horse was, and how excited I was. This tracking vehicle tearing up to my left, and by the time I got to the other side, I just, tears were streaming down my face, and there was no acting required. It was absolutely amazing. Wow. Amazing. We did it for about a week. The whole section took about a week, because there were all sorts of kills, and Benedict comes through a tent at one point. Patrick Kennedy jumps over a fire, and it was to be at the center of an action sequence directed by probably the greatest action director who's ever worked in the medium was an amazing privilege.